Peace, family. It's your brother DesoX, and today I'll be talking about how we've had within the same week National Cheeseburger Day, but as well a recall of ground beef of over 58,000 pounds.
58,000 pounds.
Due to the outbreak of a contamination of sugar toxins E. coli and as well salmonella. I just want to put in perspective that money is an exchange of energy. You trade value for value. It's more than just monopoly. You're actually just trading value. The value you put on the dollar is what you use to work for it. You spent time, energy. Now, since Whole Foods may be sometimes so costly, it's because we know that it has a lot of value to our body. Whole Foods may cost somewhere, a pretty penny sometimes. However, we see McDonald's having some interesting prices for these cheeseburgers. So we have McDonald's selling them at 50 cents for cheeseburgers. 50 cents on National Cheeseburger Day. 50 cents. Now let's look at Wendy's. Wendy's has an even more interesting price. They're selling national cheeseburgers for not just National Cheeseburger Day, but for National Cheeseburger Week, mind you. For National Cheeseburger Week. Not for $2, not for $1, not for 50 cents, but for 1 penny. That means the hungry brother who's on the corner could get him cheeseburger for 1 penny. But we just said, the value that you hold on something means the dollar that you give for something is equating to the value that thing has. So this right here is telling you that it has little to no value because they're going to give you a cheeseburger for 1 penny. There's literally no nutritional value in it for 1 penny. But let's talk about the coincidences. Now, I'm not one who believes in coincidences. I believe in science. I believe in science, mathematics, and God. So as far as the outbreak, a reporter by the name of Alex Porte with Today Health and Wellness had wrote that over 58,000 pounds of ground beef products have been recalled due to possible E. coli contamination. On September 15th, now that's the actual day that National Cheeseburger Day was, mind you. The U.S. Department of Agriculture shared the news and bulletin on its website. According to the federal agency, the recall will affect approximately 58,281 pounds of ground beef products. American food groups based in Wisconsin discovered that a sample batch of beef tested positive for sugar toxin producing E. coli. The products were produced on August 14, 2023 and sent to Georgia, Michigan, and Ohio wholesalers. So I wouldn't think, that's just a reach. It's just Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, because those are the wholesalers. That means that it can circulate all throughout the region and the nation. So, let's just put that in perspective, that how much risk are we willing to take just to eat some good tasting ground beef? Like, we're going to have to do something a little different at this point, fam. Some of us may be wondering. I just threw a whole bunch of big words in that most of us may or may not know. What is sugar toxins E. coli? Sugar toxin producing Escherichia coli, forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, are bacteria that can cause body diarrhea in infected people. In rare cases, the same bacterium can also cause a kidney disease known as hemolytic uremic syndrome. The most well-known member of this group of bacteria is E. coli 0157:H7. So it's a bacteria that you really don't. Now, what is salmonella? Salmonella is a common disease that infects the intestinal tract. Salmonella bacteria typically live in animal and human contact with E. coli. With salmonella, most people with salmonella infection have diarrhea, fever, and stomach cramp. Symptoms usually begin 6 hours to 6 days after infection and last for 4 to 7 days. That is very alarming. I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't know that about salmonella. Now, I want to add some more insight to this thing, not to gross anyone out, but to add more insight and information to it. Now, let's start with McDonald's here. Let's do the math. McDonald's uses about 800 pounds of beef every year and accounting for 3% of the total applicable beef. McDonald's sells a tremendous amount of food each year in the U.S. alone, by some estimates more than 1 billion pounds of beef. Now, a reporter by the name of Peter Economy, the leadership guy, had wrote in Incorporated.com, McDonald's sells a tremendous amount of food each year in the U.S. alone. By some estimates, more than 1 billion pounds of beef, from 5 to 1.5 million head of cattle, and more than 500 million cups of coffee. Given that they sell over 1 billion pounds in some cases, let's look at how much beef is actually in the U.S. reported by the U.S. Agriculture Department. Alright, so I found this on the USDA website, mind you. It is said that of 95.9 million head inventory, all cows and heifers that have calved totaled 38.8 million. Of the 95.9 million head inventory, all cows and heifers that have calved totaled 38.8 million. There are 29.4 million beef cows in the U.S. There are 29.4 million beef cows in the United States as of July 1st, 2023, down 3% from last year. The number of milk cows in the United States remain unchanged at 9.40 million. U.S. calf crop was estimated at 33.8 million head, down 2% from 2022. So 29 million, yet McDonald's grosses over 1 billion and sometimes 800 million a year. Now on the lower end, you got the 800. That's when they leastly grow. Yet there's only available 29.4 million. So it becomes the begging question, what the hell is in the food? But that does beg the question though. Can we honestly say it's even worthy enough to get a 1 cent or 50-cent cheeseburger on National Cheeseburger Day or week just because it's these low prices when, in factual terms, the U.S. Agriculture Department does not have as much beef to distribute to as many chains? We're talking about other restaurants. We're talking about other suppliers. But McDonald's uses more than 800 million, so somebody lying. Now, one of the reasons that I don't eat meat, one of the few reasons I'll say that I don't eat meat at all, is because when I was reading one of the holy grails of plant-based nutrition, How Not to Die by Dr. Michael McGregor, he had written in here, which is basically a book reporting of the most leading diseases in the U.S. and how you can reverse them with the plant-based diet and cutting out so much meat consumption, or animal consumption, I'll say. He pointed out in this book that there is something that the Harvard Institute had pointed out when they did a research over meat, and that is something that is known as the meat paradox. Whereas traditionally, we cook food, of course, unless you're like this guy. But you cook food, of course, because you want to consume it to make it safe. You want to cook everything that may be harmful outside of the food. However, if you cook it just enough to get it to its safe point, you risk getting the disease risk factor of what's called carcinogenic cancer. For those who may not know what carcinogens are, they're just a substance that may cause cancer within the body. So you cook it to the temperature that's safe enough to eat, and you get the risk of carcinogenic cancer. However, if you don't cook enough, you risk the factor of getting infectious and bacterial diseases like sugar toxins, E. coli, salmonella, and so many more. So it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation, the meat paradox, which is one of the main reasons why I don't eat no meat. Now, with all that said, I'm just wondering whether or not that is not enough information to make us think a little twice about our food choices and eating meat, because what stood the test of time is not meat, it's whole food. All right, peace, family. But again, I hope this wasn't grossing anybody out, but just making us more aware of our options and food choices and what we should not be eating. It's your good brother Desmond X. Peace.